Kia ora koutou and welcome to this update for Red Dust Rebellion. We're going to cover off a few things in this video. First of all, I'm going to talk through what happened in 2021. Then we're going to talk about the next steps we need to get Red Dust Rebellion ready to print. And finally, I'm going to do a bit of a deep dive on some of the new systems and changes within the game and show you our test prototype. Now, 2021 was a hell of a year for me. And it meant that I didn't get to spend as much time on Red Dust Rebellion as I wanted to, and I apologize for that. But when you hear what's happened to us, you'll probably have some sympathy that the game got sidetracked a little. First of all, early in the year, Steph had to have her gallbladder operated on while she was 6 months pregnant. That was a bit of a scare. Then Anne was born, and she was jaundiced and had to stay in hospital for a while. And she was also born with a heart condition, which meant we had to go off to Starship Hospital to get heart surgery done on her to close the hole in her heart. And that was a very, very scary time. Once that was all done, we found that the house was no longer fit for purpose for a small child and us, so we had to move house. And to do that, we had to redecorate the house, which involved living out of the house for an extended period of time while it was getting done up. Then we had to sell it during a lockdown here in New Zealand and then find a place at the same time. Then we had to move all our stuff and get it all set up. So that's been like 8 months of absolute chaos. And in that time, I was also holding down a 40-hour-a-week job, doing the YouTube channel, and helping out as much as I could with Anne. It's been a time. And that's just ignoring all the other COVID-related stuff that's been happening as well. So 2022 hopefully is going to be a much better and much more productive year. And the stunning thing is we've actually made quite a bit of progress on Red Dust Rebellion through 2021, even with all those problems. And a lot of that comes down to my developer, Adam, who's done an amazing job of keeping the game testing and just poking me for the 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes free I've got wherever I've got to help him tune the game and to give me feedback on what the testers are saying. He's done an amazing job, and if Red Dust Rebellion turns out to be a good game, it's going to be in no small part to him. So what we have left to do, well, there's some art still outstanding. We've got a handful of pieces left to go from the card art. I've been putting a bunch of the art pictures behind us. These are just amazing. Marcos has done a phenomenal job, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the last of those. You'll also note that we are Coin Game 13. People Power Coin Game 11 is up for printing at the moment. So technically we should be waiting about a year or so before we go to print, but we suspect Red Dust Rebellion might be closer to getting done than China's War, which means we might be able to jump the queue on them. This is great for people who are waiting for Red Dust Rebellion. But to do that, we need to have everything locked down and sorted by April. So that means the rulebook needs to be finally nailed and sorted. We need all of the art sorted out. I need the world building stuff done. All of that stuff needs to be done and tested. So the next 3 or so months are going to be a pretty intensive testing period. Now, GMT is a pipeline company. They put a game into their production line and they work on it. They don't have like 200 graphic designers. They don't have 200 people making their maps. They have a small crew that does that. So you get onto the production line there, and then they go through that process, and it comes out the other end. So we need to get on the line in order for it to be ready to be printed and sent out later this year. Now, I can't give any guarantees, especially based on all the crazy stuff that's happening with shipping and manufacturing around the world at the moment. But if we do get the game to them in a state ready for them to do the rest they need to do by April, we have a good chance of being able to get it out by the end of the year. And that would be fantastic. So for me, it's a lot of testing over the next 3 months. It's a lot of tweaks, a lot of refinements, a lot of just seeing if the game pacing and the feel is right. Because the game works. The game is playable. We could publish a copy tomorrow and it would be fine. But we want to make it better than fine. We want to find all those little niggles. We want to find those strategies that people do over and over again and maybe possibly break them and sort it so it's a little bit fairer. We just want to do that iterative testing to make sure the game is the highest possible quality it can be before it leaves my hands. So let's have a look at the state of the game, and this comes with a massive caveat, and that caveat is the board is not final art, nor is it final layout. The spaces are going to be basically where they are. I'm not changing that anytime soon. And the mechanics and systems should stay pretty much as they are here. But the actual look and feel and art on the board, that's just something that Adam and I have cobbled together. Well, mostly Adam. As you can see, one of the defining features of Red Dust Rebellion is that we have these 3 distinct operational theaters. And that's because Mars is a very big planet. The land area of Mars is about the same as the land area of Earth. That's of course discounting all the land area of Earth that's covered in water. So these are focused theaters. And that creates a different sort of feel because you can have 3 distinct different battles going on. That while they're all interconnected, the different theaters have their own sort of feel to them. So let's look at some of the novel systems that people who have played Coin before probably haven't seen. And this might be interesting to people who are totally new to this because it'll be new to you as well. And the first one of those is campaign cards. The Red Dust group has a unique ability to play these campaign cards. They can pick them up during the game and they can play them. And they provide an ongoing effect that lasts until the next Dust Storm round. Now, if you haven't played Coin before, the Dust Storm round is a reset. It's like a midpoint in the game where you check for victory and the conflict cools down for a bit. And that's to represent that insurrections tend to have hot periods and cold periods. This ability allows the Red Dust group to have these massive strikes, and I've put that in for both interest sake and for thematic sake. It's a unique ability that Red Dust has, and these ongoing effects can make the government player feel really bad about their life choices. Another unique system is the Aldrin Cycler. In other Coin games, there's a system called Aid, and Aid comes every Dust Storm round, essentially. And it's a fluctuating amount of resources that represents contributions from first world countries and other sources. In Red Dust Rebellion, we focus on the idea of the Aldrin Cycler. Now, an Aldrin Cycler is a ship that is designed to be slingshot around Earth and then back around Mars in a figure 8. And it just keeps going. And these are a cornerstone of the world of Red Dust Rebellion, is that we have these ships up there. We take stuff up a space elevator on Earth, we rocket them over to the Aldrin Cyclers as they're going past, load them up, and they keep deploying people and resources back and forth between Earth and Mars. So when the Cycler activates, you get to load stuff onto Earth that's ready to go to Mars, and also move stuff further along. And this is how the Martian government gets extra resources, how extra population appears to be housed on Mars, and how Earth government and the corporate forces get onto Mars. Now, that Cycler system is triggered by our Flashpoint system. Every time you turn a card over in Red Dust Rebellion, there is a number on it from 0 to 4. That is its Flashpoint value. And that advances this track. When this track reaches 5, you reset and you run through what's called a Flashpoint round. And the Flashpoint round is when the Cycler moves. And a few other effects as well, including the corporations doing their terraforming and forces degrading because of dust storms. This version of the Flashpoint system is quite new. We used to do it that there was just a card with a Flashpoint icon and then you'd trigger the whole thing. But we found that in some games you'd have 5 of those in a row, and in other games you could go 15 cards and not see one. And it really screwed with the tempo of the game. And the last thing we're going to look at is how the Church of the Reclaimer uses activations. And this is a very challenging system for Coin veterans because they don't work normally on the order of activations. Now in a normal Coin game you have these 4 symbols along the top of a card, and that represents the order players could action that card if their faction was active at the time. Every single card, the Church of the Reclaimer, is last. And that's because they have a hand of resource cards. They don't spend resources like normal factions. They have a card system that keeps their resources secret. And they can spend these cards to change their position on the track. So just before the cards are selected, the Church of the Reclaimer player can go, I'm going to spend a 4 value card. I'm going first. And there is nothing the other players can do about that. And this allows the Reclaimers to act unexpected, like a group of raiders that just turns up out of the desert. You can be calculating, oh, I'm going to go first on that card, I'm going to be able to do this, and then suddenly, boom, CR goes, nah, something totally different is happening. And that is a very big shift compared to a normal Coin game. Now, I've deliberately skimmed over a bunch of stuff and kept it really brief. I'm not going to go through the whole rulebook and everything that's happened with Red Dust here. This is really just a teaser to show that the game is in development, that we've pledged to try and get it, as much of it done by April so we can get into the production queue to get it finished this year. But if you do have questions and you are interested about some of the stuff I've talked about here, do say something below in the comments And I will be doing more videos on Red Dust Rebellion over the coming months as we drive to get this game finished. So thanks for tuning in. And if you do want to pre-order Red Dust Rebellion, it is available on the GMT site at the moment. How their pre-order system works is you take a pledge that you're going to buy the game and they don't charge you until it's ready to ship. So unlike a Kickstarter, they don't ask for the money up front. And the P500 price, which is the one that's available at the moment, is substantially cheaper than you'll be able to buy it in stores. So from me and Adam, the Red Dust Rebellion development team, have a happy new year and stay tuned for more about Red Dust Rebellion.